If you're over 60 and living with diabetes, you probably think sweets are why your feet are cold and your legs feel heavy. That's understandable. Blood sugar matters, but it's only part of the story. For many older adults with diabetes, the real reason your legs don't get the blood they need is the condition of the blood vessels themselves. Stiff arteries, calcium deposits in the walls, a tired endothelial lining that can't make enough nitric oxide, and blood that's a little stickier than it should be. In this video, I'm going to show you the 3 things your legs are begging for, the exact forms, doses, and timing, and what you need to check with your doctor before trying any of this. If you want the exact supplement checklist shown on screen, stay with me and consider subscribing for more practical, physician-safe guides. But first, talk to your doctor about your medications. Let's start by reframing the problem. Imagine your circulation as a garden hose. If the hose is soft and flexible, water flows freely. If the hose becomes rigid or lined with sediment, the flow slows, even if the water pressure at the faucet is fine. In diabetes, high blood sugar and metabolic stress speed up a kind of vascular aging. The lining of the blood vessel, the endothelium, becomes less responsive. The arterial wall can accumulate calcium and lose elasticity, and the chemical signal that tells vessels to relax, nitric oxide, becomes harder to produce and easier to destroy. You can cut sweets and still have these mechanical and chemical problems. That's why many people over 60 with reasonably controlled blood sugar still experience cold feet, numbness, or that heavy, tired feeling in the legs. But here's what most people miss. Targeting blood sugar alone won't directly soften a calcified artery or restore nitric oxide production overnight. What speeds blood flow in older diabetic vessels are 3 coordinated strategies: immediate vasodilation and reduced blood stickiness, a way to reduce calcium in the vessel wall and restore flexibility, and support for the endothelial chemistry that makes nitric oxide and keeps it stable. I call this the circulation trinity: niacin, vitamin K2, MK7, and vitamin C. Together, they address the main mechanical and chemical contributors to poor peripheral circulation that come with age and diabetes. First, let's talk about niacin. Not all forms of niacin do the same thing. For circulation support, you want nicotinic acid, the flushing form, because it causes a predictable expansion of skin blood flow and reduces blood stickiness. Start with niacin, nicotinic acid, flushing form, at 250 milligrams taken with a meal. After 2 weeks, if you tolerate it, increase to 500 milligrams daily. The flushing you'll feel is normal: warmth, redness, maybe tingling for 15 to 30 minutes. It's not dangerous for most people, and many find it less intense once their body adapts over days to weeks. If the flush is uncomfortable, taking it with food helps. Starting at the lower dose helps, and some people use over-the-counter options discussed with their clinician. But be clear, the flushing form matters here. Inositol, hexaniacinate, and other no-flush niacin blends are not equivalent for the vasodilatory and anti-viscosity effects we're seeking. Why niacin? It produces rapid vasodilation, widening small blood vessels in the skin and muscle, and it can reduce the tendency of blood cells and platelets to clump together, improving microcirculatory flow. That can translate into a feeling of warmth and lighter legs soon after dosing. Safety matters. Niacin can affect liver enzymes and can affect blood sugar in some people, so you must talk to your physician before starting it, especially if you're on statins, other liver-sensitive drugs, or tight diabetes medication regimens. Your doctor may want baseline liver tests and a follow-up after you've been on it for a few weeks. Don't stop or change any prescription medication without medical advice. Next is vitamin K2, specifically the MK7 form. When we talk about calcification in the arteries, we're talking about calcium being laid down in places it shouldn't be. Vitamin K2, MK7, activates a protein called matrix GLA protein, or MGP, which helps move calcium away from soft tissues like artery walls and toward bone where it belongs. The form matters. MK7 is longer acting and more effective at this function than vitamin K1. Aim for K2 MK7 at 100 to 300 micrograms daily, taken with a fat-containing meal so it's absorbed well. Natural sources like natto contain K2, but therapeutic doses are most reliably obtained through a dedicated MK7 supplement because standard multivitamins rarely provide enough. Because vitamin K2 influences how calcium is used in the body, it can interact with blood thinners like warfarin. If you're taking any blood thinner or antiplatelet medication, you must consult your prescribing clinician before adding K2. They may want to monitor your clotting tests or adjust dosing. This isn't a reason to avoid K2 necessarily, but it is a safety step you must take. Now for vitamin C. Your endothelial cells need vitamin C to make and protect nitric oxide, the molecule that tells vessels to relax when you need increased blood flow. For older adults with diabetes, daily vitamin C in therapeutic doses supports the biochemical environment that keeps nitric oxide available during activity. I recommend a buffered or liposomal form of vitamin C to improve tolerance. The dose I'm suggesting is 1,000 milligrams in the morning, with the option for a second 1,000 milligram dose before mid-afternoon. But avoid taking vitamin C after about 5 p.m., because high doses late in the day can interfere with sleep for some people. Buffered or liposomal vitamin C reduces acidity and lowers the chance of gastrointestinal upset. Drinking water with your dose and splitting the dose if you're sensitive can help. Vitamin C is generally well tolerated, but if you have a history of kidney stones or specific conditions your doctor has warned about, check with them first. Also remember that a standard multivitamin almost never meets these therapeutic amounts. If you want 1,000 milligrams or 2 daily, you'll need a separate, properly labeled vitamin C product. So why this trio for someone over 60 with diabetes? Diabetes accelerates arterial stiffening and endothelial dysfunction through glycation, oxidative stress, and chronic inflammation. Niacin gives relatively immediate improvement in cutaneous blood flow and reduces blood stickiness. K2 MK7 helps the vessel walls regain flexibility by activating MGP to move calcium away from the arteries, and vitamin C supports the endothelial machinery that makes nitric oxide, protecting and stabilizing that signal during the day when you're active. Together, they target the mechanical stiffness, the calcium burden, and the chemical signaling deficits that leave legs cold and heavy, and they do so in ways that sugar restriction alone does not directly address. It's important to be realistic. These supplements are not a replacement for prescribed diabetes therapies, and they are not a guaranteed cure. What they can do, when used carefully and under medical supervision, is improve the functional environment of your blood vessels so circulation can improve. Many people notice early sensations of warmth or reduced heaviness within days to a couple of weeks because of niacin's vasodilation. More measurable changes, like improved walking comfort or decreased leg fatigue, often appear in weeks 2 through 6. Structural improvements in arterial flexibility and calcium redistribution take longer, think months, and a minimum of a 90-day commitment is a reasonable window to evaluate whether this protocol is helping you. A practical, physician-supervised plan looks like this. Step 1. Bring a concise list of all your medications to your clinician, including over-the-counter drugs and supplements. Mention your interest in trying niacin, nicotinic acid, K2, MK7, and buffered or liposomal vitamin C. Ask specifically about liver monitoring for niacin, anticoagulant monitoring if you're on warfarin or similar agents before starting K2, and about any potential interaction with your diabetes medications. Step 2. Source the exact forms. For niacin, you want nicotinic acid, flushing form, 250 milligrams. For K2, you want MK7, 100 to 300 micrograms. For vitamin C, buffered or liposomal, 1,000 milligrams. Don't be fooled by labels that claim niacin without specifying nicotinic acid or by products that list K1 or non-MK7 forms of vitamin K. Step 3. Start slowly. Take niacin 250 milligrams with a meal for 2 weeks. If you tolerate it, go to 500 milligrams with a meal. Take K2 daily with a fat-containing meal. Take vitamin C 1,000 milligrams in the morning and optional 1,000 milligrams early afternoon, but not after 5 p.m. Make a note of any new symptoms and schedule the recommended tests your clinician suggests. Step 4. Commit to 90 days unless your healthcare team advises otherwise, tracking changes in symptoms and any side effects. A few practical tips that make this easier. If you find the niacin flush uncomfortable at first, take it with a substantial meal. Start at the lower dose and work up, and let your clinician know if you're on a statin or other liver-sensitive medication. Some people find that regular daily dosing makes the flush milder over time. For K2 absorption, eat it with foods containing natural fats, olive oil, avocado, eggs, or take it alongside a normal meal. For vitamin C, choose buffered or liposomal forms if you've had stomach sensitivity with high doses of ascorbic acid. Staying hydrated reduces GI upset, and splitting the dose may help. Let's address a few common worries. You might have tried multivitamins, expensive circulation blends, or herbal tonics with little effect. Multivitamins are designed for broad maintenance, not therapeutic doses that specifically target vascular aging. Therapeutic dosing means separate supplements at the doses I've described. You may also worry about safety with multiple medications. That's why physician oversight is essential. Liver enzyme checks for niacin, clotting tests or careful monitoring with K2 if you're anticoagulated, and a medication review to ensure vitamin C won't influence any test results or interact negatively with your regimen. Some important cautions I must emphasize. Do not stop or alter your prescribed diabetes medications based on this plan. Do not assume these nutrients will reverse diabetic vascular disease. If you have active liver disease, significant alcohol intake, or are taking multiple liver metabolized medications, discuss the risk with your clinician before using niacin. If you're on any anticoagulant, especially warfarin, consult the prescriber before starting vitamin K2. Even small changes in vitamin K intake can require adjustment of anticoagulation dosing or monitoring. If you experience unusual muscle pain, severe abdominal pain, jaundice, or markedly elevated fatigue after starting any supplement, stop and contact your clinician immediately. What might you expect in practical, day-to-day terms? In the first week, you may feel brief warmth and flushing after niacin, and some people notice less numbness or a small increase in skin temperature in their feet. By weeks 2 to 6, you may feel that your legs tire less quickly on walks or that the coldness in your toes is reduced. By 3 months and beyond, with consistent dosing and physician supervision, you may experience more durable improvements in walking comfort and daytime energy. If you don't notice any benefit after a monitored 90-day trial, discuss with your clinician whether adjustments or different strategies are appropriate. Vascular health is multifactorial, and sometimes additional interventions or specialist evaluation are necessary. Sourcing and label reading are practical skills you'll need. When you look at a supplement label, confirm the form next to the nutrient. Niacin should read nicotinic acid for the flushing form and list the milligram dose. Vitamin K should be labeled MK7 with micrograms noted, and vitamin C should specify buffered or liposomal with the milligram dose. Avoid products that hide forms behind proprietary blends or use ambiguous language like niacin complex without specifying nicotinic acid. If a product's dosing is far below the ranges we discussed, it's likely insufficient for therapeutic aims and better suited as a maintenance supplement. I also want to address the emotional side. You're not being blamed for circulation issues. Diabetes is complex and often unforgiving to blood vessels over time. The temptation to think that cutting sweets will solve everything is understandable, but it can leave you feeling frustrated when symptoms persist. Recognizing the vascular processes at work lets you take targeted action that complements sensible diet and glucose control. This is about giving your body tools it can actually use to improve blood flow. Finally, let's put together a concise checklist you can take to your clinician. Mention your age and diabetes, describe the circulation symptoms you're experiencing, list all your medications, including prescriptions and OTCs, and say that you're considering a monitored trial of niacin, nicotinic acid 250 milligrams with meal, up to 500 milligrams after 2 weeks if tolerated, K2, MK7 100 to 300 micrograms daily with a fat-containing meal, and buffered or liposomal vitamin C 1,000 milligrams in the morning with an optional second 1,000 milligrams before mid-afternoon, avoiding doses after 5 p.m. Ask whether baseline liver enzymes, coagulation tests, or other monitoring are recommended based on your medication list. Remember, sweets and blood sugar control are important for overall health and for preventing further vascular damage, but they're not the whole story when it comes to cold feet or heavy legs in older adults living with diabetes. Addressing arterial stiffness, calcification, and endothelial dysfunction with a targeted, clinician-approved protocol can make a real difference in daily comfort and mobility. Talk to your physician about these 3 nutrients and consider a carefully monitored 90-day trial. If you do try it, keep notes on symptoms and any side effects, and come back to share what changed. Your experience could help others in the same situation.